Hey guys, this is Bitefly and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, hi, I'm super glad you're here. And if you're not new here, hi, I'm super glad you are back. So in today's video, we will be talking about K-pop. Firstly, I would like to apologize for my short hiatus I had last week. I was busy with some personal matters as well as studying the algorithm, busy trying to study what content you guys would like, and also trying to edit and get some more knowledge on tools and stuff for the channel so that the content I bring here doesn't feel empty and it's actually something you would enjoy. With that being said, I would like to make a legal disclaimer. Everything I will be bringing in this video for legal purposes and legal reasons is alleged. I do not intend copyright and I do not intend to put negative false claims upon anybody. With that being said, let's get into the video. K-pop. We all know K-pop. It is the vibrant world of South Korean pop music. It's filled with catchy melodies, precision choreographies, and passion. At its roots, there's the pioneering first and second generation groups like Girls' Generation, Big Bang, and Wonder Girls, groups that objectively paved the road for what K-pop has become today. The idols themselves are truly amazing. Their music and performances don't just entertain, we love them. Their creativity, dedication, and artistry bring joy, comfort, and sometimes even healing to our mental health. For many, K-pop becomes a lifeline, an escape, a friendship, also a boost of confidence. That's beautiful. It inspires language learners to pick up Korean, invites fans to explore a rich new culture, not like Korea Boost, but yeah, and sparks deep lasting connections. Of course, there's people who don't get K-pop, and okay, that's fine. But for those of us who are hooked, there's a more complicated feeling at play. We adore or at least respect the idols, but we're not such big fans of the industry that surrounds them. In South Korea, idols aren't considered regular workers under labor laws. That means they often lack the protection that applies to most workers, like regulated working hours, rest periods, or proper labor contracts. For example, there's cases where idols can be made to practice for 8 hours straight, dancing, singing, going back to dancing, and they don't have breaks, because under the law, there's more like a treatment of contractors or performers rather than actual workers. I actually did my research and looked up some legal background to help you understand what I'm talking about. The South Korean Ministry of Employment and Labor has explicitly stated that K-pop idols are not considered workers under the Labor Standards Act. Instead, they're usually classified as independent contractors or profit-sharing partners, which means they don't usually receive typical worker protections like fixed wage, working hour limits, or employer-provided benefits. Recent proposals to reform the industry include amendments to the Popular Culture and Arts Industry Development Act, also known as the Lee Seung-gi Law. This law aims to restrict working hours for underage idols and increase transparency. But currently, idols older than 15 can still work up to 35 to 40 hours per week, and this lapse is sometimes extendable. The entertainment industry has pushed back against stricter laws, arguing that age-based limits on working hours would make it difficult to coordinate group activities, especially in groups with mixed-age members, and could hamper Korea's cultural competitiveness. Now, let's move just a little deeper into our iceberg and talk about something even more personal: food, nourishment, and the toll it can take on idols' bodies. Proper nutrition is essential not only for anyone working in the public eye, but for everyday living. Yet, in South Korea, beauty ideals are extremely rigid. Pale skin, ultra-thin bodies, flawless appearance. These standards are nearly impossible for an average person to meet without cosmetic surgery, extreme dieting, or, in worst cases, both. And what many people don't realize is that these unrealistic expectations can lead to serious health consequences: gastrointestinal issues, anemia, and in some extreme cases, even something as tragic as leukemia, which we'll mention in just a second. Just recently, a former idol named Shin Jae-hyung from the group Fable passed away at only 23 years old after a private battle with leukemia. His illness was kept secret, and his passing was a heartbreaking reminder of how serious health struggles can go unnoticed behind all the glamour. Then there's Momo from Twice. Before her debut, she revealed that the company wouldn't let them eat carbohydrates. Their diet consisted mostly of sweet potatoes and water, and as for snacks, they ate ice cubes. They were not just hydrated, but there was no real nutrition. That's not a diet, that's starvation dressed up as beauty. Malnutrition isn't just physically harmful, it can create serious mental health problems too. When people don't consume enough protein, vitamins, or minerals, they may experience anxiety, depression, even cognitive issues. And when idols are presented as models of ultra thin perfection, fans, especially gullible younger ones, can internalize that as the only beautiful or acceptable body image, causing body dysmorphia and disordered eating. I want to pause here for a moment. If you're watching this and you feel pressured to look just like your favorite idol, please know you don't have to look like them to be worthy. You don't have to look like them to be beautiful or healthy. Idols often follow extreme diets and even get cosmetic procedures, surgery to meet impossible standards. That is not the norm, it's never gonna be, and certainly is not sustainable or healthy for most of us. So, if you are considering looking or involving yourself in an extreme diet just to look like your favorite idol, I know how it feels like to want to look up for someone and want them to be your role model, but you do not have to look like them. Now, let's dive even deeper into our iceberg, this time toward one of the darker and more unsettling layers: the risks idols face just because they are visible people. Being in the public eye is part of their job, yes, but remember, idols are people with their own thoughts, feelings, and private lives. Celebrities, at the end of the day, are just people like you and I. They eat, they sleep, they hang out with friends, they get bored, they have their own battles every single day. Being pretty, popular, having fame, or a lot of money doesn't mean they're perfect, and it doesn't mean they are robots or machines. That's why when people sometimes idolize celebrities, it is very dangerous, and there's a very thin line between admiring someone and thinking of someone as a god or goddess. At the end of the day, celebrities are very talented people who have a very fancy and very nice job, a 9 to 5, but at the same time, they are just like you and I. More than just invasion of privacy, idols often face real danger from obsessive fans, known as sasaeng fans. These individuals don't just stop at following idols online. They stalk them, show up uninvited at their homes or dorms, and sometimes even impersonate security staff at airports. It's a harsh reality, but at the end of the day, idols and celebrities end up becoming the product, and that comes with troubling consequences. In July 2025, Rona shared that a sasaeng fan discovered her home address, showed up uninvited, and shared her personal information online, leaving her honestly terrified. In a shocking incident, a sasaeng fan broke into Nugent's dorm. An unlocked door allowed repeated entry, and the individual was later indicted for trespassing. Another example is BTS. BTS Jungkook was targeted when a Chinese sasaeng, or crazy stalker, attempted to break into his residence mere hours after his military discharge. These behaviors, unauthorized entry, stalking, doxing, are criminal offenses under South Korea's Anti-Stalking Act. Penalties can reach up to 3 years in prison or fines up to 30 million Korean wons, even longer if a weapon is involved. Another case is the voice member Sun Wo was ambushed by a Seseng hiding in his dorm's stairwell. He and a staff member were assaulted before the fan was arrested. This whole thing is not just about invasion of space or privacy, it's about fear, anxiety, and mental exhaustion. Lisa from Blackpink shared how unsafe she felt when someone waited outside her home and even tried to get into a taxi with her, leaving her scared and hyper alert. Other idols like Kim Jae-jong and Baekhyun have described paranoia, broken privacy, and relentless harassment in interviews. Despite their image on stage, idols do deserve to live ordinary lives. They go home, spend time with their loved ones, relax, and yes, they should be able to eat, speak their opinions, date, or just enjoy a normal day without fear. It's not just about protecting them as fragile beings, it's about respecting their humanity. But here is where it gets even more complicated, because along with privacy, there's also the pressure to remain pure or single, which ties directly into fan expectations and industry expectations. Let's keep that in mind as we move into the fifth layer of our iceberg. Another very real issue we need to address is the growing obsession with some K-pop agencies with debuting underage idols, and even worse, making them act in certain ways that are not appropriate. Many of these young idols are put in revealing outfits, giving provocative choreographies, and presented in ways that are simply not appropriate for their age. Over time, the debut age has gotten younger and younger, and while K-pop groups have always had magnes, the youngest members, the trend today has gone to an extreme. This not only exposes the minors to the unhealthy purity culture surrounding idols, but also creates long-term emotional strains. In this culture, fans expect idols to remain forever innocent, almost like untouchable beings. The moment an idol is revealed to be dating, something that is perfectly normal and human, backlash often follows. Both idols involved are criticized, and sometimes even the company is targeted. In the end, this can lead to emotional breakdowns for the idols and loss of popularity, as well as unnecessary scandals for the agencies. We must break away from these toxic expectations that idols cannot date. They can, and they can have friends. They are simply normal people living regular, schmegular lives. And if they were robots programmed to perform, go home, sleep, barely eat, and then return to the stage, they would not be people. And they are. At the same time, we need to address the harmful practice of debuting literal children. While it's pretty understandable that some might want to enter the industry at a young age to gain experience and connect with fans early, there's a clear difference between growing alongside your idols and exploiting minors for profit. For example, I'm going to talk about my personal experience. When I started standing BTS and Blackpink, I was 13 years old. There was something very magical and very beautiful about growing up with them. But it's a whole other issue when we see middle-aged men, ajushis, collecting photo cards and merchandise of idols who are not even legally adults. While not every fan in this situation has bad intentions, the truth is, the industry is exposing these literal children to situations where there is bad intentions involved. We cannot guarantee safety in a world as complex as ours. That's why it is very crucial to dismantle both of these patterns, the idol purity myth and the exploitation of underage performers. Now, let's dive a little deeper into the next level of our iceberg. This is one of the deepest and most heartbreaking issues in the K-pop industry, and it's the severe mental health struggles idols face. This includes depression, anxiety, and tragically, cases where idols have felt that there's no way out. I want to share two cases that are very personal to me. Soli and her best friend Kuhara. These were two incredibly talented women who became victims of relentless harassment and cyberbullying, to the point that they are no longer with us. I'll avoid using explicit terms that could trigger YouTube's algorithm, but you understand what I mean. Let's start with Sully. For those who may not know her, she was an actress, singer, and former member of the group FX. Sully faced constant harassment over everything she did. She openly supported feminist ideals, which in South Korea is far more controversial than in much of the Western world. Whether or not you agree with feminism, there's no justification for attacking someone for their beliefs, especially when those beliefs are not harming anyone. She was criticized for posting selfies without wearing a bra, simply wearing loose tops. In Korea, any deviation from societal norms, no matter how harmless, can lead to what I call a social crucifixion. She was also judged for her relationship with her boyfriend. He was 14 years older than her, and regardless of how you feel about larger age gaps, both were consenting adults. Yet, only Sully received backlash. Her boyfriend was left alone by the media and the public, highlighting a clear double standard. Society often targets women more harshly than men. I'm not saying any of them should have been criticized. Actually, like I said, as long as both of them were consenting adults, we can have our own opinions on large age gaps, but it is not illegal, so none of them should have received any sort of backlash. Sully was also accused of inappropriate intentions over an artistic photoshoot with her best friend Kuhara. In reality, they were just wearing an oversized shirt, sharing it with the Johnson & Johnson print, something that could easily have been the photographer's idea. Yet people twisted the narrative, creating rumors without proof. This is what happens when society projects its own biases onto innocent actions. Despite Sully repeatedly asking for kindness both in interviews and on social media, the harassment never stopped. The result was honestly heartbreaking. It was an irreversible decision. She had dreams of traveling more, getting married, becoming a mother. All of that was taken away by relentless cruelty. Her best friend, Kuhara, faced similar struggles. She was also harassed online and dealt with an abusive ex-boyfriend. She even presented medical evidence to the media, bone scans, gynecological reports, trying to prove the abuse she was suffering. She didn't owe the public those proofs, but she presented them either way, and people still called her a liar. 1 month after losing Sully, Kuhara also made the same tragic choice. It is very difficult to believe that this was a coincidence. These cases are not just stories from the past, they are a mirror of what still happens today. People continue to make cruel jokes about them for rage bait and attention. And honestly, there's a big difference between dark humor and mocking someone's tragedy just to get clicks and attention. The latter is not only disrespectful, but it's disgusting, shameless, and pathetic. If you've ever posted a comment of rage bait regarding Sully or Kuhara or any other idol that have struggled with mental health issues, please get help. Please talk to someone. That is not okay. At the end of the day, idols are human. They are human beings. They do not owe us anything about their private lives. They have a right to make decisions for themselves, to have relationships, to express their style, and to live freely without fear of harassment. We, as a society, need to remember that behind the stage lights there's a person, not a machine. Also, I really would like to put this out there. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, please reach out for help. You matter. Your life matters. Even if it feels like the world is against you, I promise there is someone out there who will care, who cares. The world can still hold beautiful moments for you. Please, do not make permanent decisions over temporary feelings. I will be linking and leaving on the screen some resources in case you need help. I'm begging you, please. If you're struggling, find someone to talk. Leave a comment or go find a friend. Go talk about this with someone. You are definitely not alone. Now we are finally diving into the deepest, darkest level of our iceberg, which is basically the control companies hold over idols, the narrative, and the rumors, fear, and manipulation that is caused to the public figures. There's countless whispers online about haunted practice rooms, idols who are said to have passed away due to overwork inside company buildings, and agencies with cultish ambience. While much of this is pretty much not confirmed and lies in the realm of rumor, these stories reflect on how deeply we fans feel there's something wrong in the K-pop industry. Agencies also stoke rivalry among fandoms, turning fans against each other with false narratives, stage leaks, or gossip, all to generate clicks and profits. Does it remind you of something? The leaks from the past year about hype? No? Anybody? Okay. This deliberate showing of division distracts fans from actually uniting and supporting idols. We should investigate where the real responsibility lies. Much of this is fueled by fabricated stories, which basically have as purpose to divide and fragment fandoms. In many cases, idols who try to speak out face severe consequences, being silenced, ignored, or even blacklisted. Former members of TVXQ, now JYJ, faced media bans in Korea for years after leaving SM Entertainment because the company discouraged broadcasters from featuring them. That is clear evidence of the industry's ability to control careers and shut down those who challenge the system. On the brighter side, this level also includes the few rape idols who have gone public. For instance, KJ, who was 17 at the time of this incident, from the group Vicha, filed a lawsuit against JYP USA, alleging child labor, neglect, abuse, and financial exploitation. Her filing highlights how talented young idols can be trapped in contracts that silence them and threaten their futures. Another notable case is NewJeans, now NJZ, who publicly broke from Adore or Hype over unfair harassing treatment, prompting legal battles and speaking broader about this conversation that's very real and we should have. These moments of resistance demonstrate the power imbalance at their core, but also the potential for change. When idols speak up when they actually do, whether through lawsuits, interviews, or public testimony, it actually gives us hope. For instance, Hani of NewJeans, which I very admire a lot because of her courage, she testified before lawmakers about the workplace bullying that she faced, forcing even their agency's CEO to promise to listen more closely to artists. And fans have rallied behind movements like hashtags idols are workers, demanding legal reforms. So, we've gone from labor conditions to diet, safety, relationships, and mental health. Now, the very corporate mind behind it all. The message with my video, I think it's pretty clear. Idols are not just pieces for profit. They are young artists chasing their dreams, and they deserve the right to speak, to rest, and to live just like you and I do. They should not be trapped in contracts that control their minds and spirits. We must continue listening to survivors, whistleblowers, and fans who demand better. And keep pushing for structural reforms and humane treatment, because only then will the K-pop industry be art again, not abuse in neon lights. Thank you for joining me for today's video, and with that, that's the end. Thank you guys so much. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Please give me a thumbs up and become part of this family that we are growing and creating. Thank you so much for all the support, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!